parents who regret having children. Why do you regret it, and how do you handle it? It's not that I don't love my kids, but I'm a terrible parent. I was diagnosed bipolar 7 or 8 years ago, and the illness has gotten worse over time. I told my wife that, if I knew then what I know now, I would have never had children. Because it's not fair to them. Thank you to all who responded. Your comments, especially those with bipolar parents, makes me feel a little better. And thanks for Point the Gold. I had a child very young. I got married at 17, pregnant at 18, gave birth at 19. He'll be 32 this year. I wanted him for all the wrong reasons. I had a horrible family and I wanted someone to love me. Someone of my own. As soon as I had him, I sat in a rocking chair for 2 weeks and cried. Because, what had I done? What had I been thinking? The weight of responsibility fell heavily on my shoulders. I couldn't take care of a baby. I couldn't even take care of myself. And I had picked a horrible partner to have him with. Despite all this, I loved my son very much. I used to say that, if they could guarantee me that I'd get the same kid, and that I wouldn't miss him, I'd have waited a few years longer before having him. My relationship with my son to this day isn't what I want it to be. I wish we were closer. I wish I'd been a better mom. I wish I hadn't dragged him through all my drama with men during his developmental years. He deserved much better than what he got. My decisions hurt him. Now that I'm older and somewhat have my shit together, I wish I'd had more kids. I'd be a much better mother now that I have done things figured out. Of course that's not possible. We only get one shot at life. There are no do-overs. I love her to death, and I do all I can for her. I regret more this cost, and having to clean up after more than her being here. Maybe also the lack of freedom. I can't just up and do whatever, because I have to consider her. I'm responsible, with a few lazy days in there of not picking up the toys, but I desire more freedom and less expenses. The father of the child got a huge brain injury while I was pregnant. Now I'm the sole income while he is on disability. The nice thing is he can take care of her, but the brain injury made his depression much worse. I'm just worried in the future he won't be able to do much with her, or get worse, and she suffer because of it. If I would have known he would have gotten that injury that changed our lives, I would have probably gotten an abortion instead of me looking for a second job and never getting any time with either of them. I meant to have one and ended up with twins. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, and I mostly hate it. They are smart and good kids, it's just not fulfilling. I handle it by making copious amounts of time for myself and lots of tears. I still wish I wouldn't have made the decision to get pregnant originally, and I don't know if that feeling will ever go away. Having kids ruined my parents' lives. I think my mom got PPD that was never treated, and she never recovered. She quit her job as a computer programmer to be a 100% dedicated mom. But she hated herself and her life and went slowly crazy. She turned to religion when I was about 10 and her kept getting crazier. My parents dislike each other, but my mom is dependent on my dad. My dad is a lazy asshole. He couldn't handle kids, so he yelled and hit when we overwhelmed him. Despite that, they never quit on us, provided us with a strong start in life, and continue to support us when we choose to live at home or visit, and my mom calls every day. They would have been so much happier, more successful, and my mom would have contributed to society and personally accomplished so much if they hadn't had kids. Son of mom who clearly regretted having me. I don't blame her. I'm 25 and can't imagine what the responsibility and time it took. Being poor sucked. But it got better. And we have a decent relationship. There are good memories too though. But now that I'm her age, I'm more empathetic. We don't talk about it too often, but she's apologized a lot, and it makes me sad that she's sad. I don't so much regret having children, but I only ever wanted 2. I was happy with 2. Life was good. Then I moved interstate, got a better paying job, wife decided maybe we should have a 3rd. I eventually gave in, and so now we've got a 3rd. I mean, I love them all, but life would be so much easier with just the 2. The 3rd is 11 now, and the eldest has left home, but I still just don't really want 3 kids. I guess I handle it by telling myself he'll eventually be self-sufficient and I can have my old life back rather than just being a slave to children. I regret my kids because they suck the life out of me. There is no more me. I'm a mom. Handling it, acceptance. But I do love my kids. Hey guys and ladies. I love my kids. It's not that bad. I'm just being dramatic. But hey, are in there asleep so I'm redditing. It's not all that bad. #ITTHELITTLETHINGS. I'm the kid in this situation. My mom was married with 3 kids. My dad was 17. I was conceived on his 18th birthday. My maternal grandparents hated me for ruining their daughter's life by my birth and told her to give me to my paternal grandparents to save her marriage. She did. Her marriage still failed within the first year of my birth. I was raised by my paternal grandparents as my dad didn't know how to be a father. He eventually got his shit together and went on to live his life. Got married and divorced, now married again. I grew up with my grandparents and had an okay life. When I was 10, my biomom, which is what I refer to her as my real mom is my grandmother, tried to have me in her life. I visited for 5 summers in a row and I never liked it at her place. Apparently I used to cry when I was younger, but as I grew up I realized she was the only one trying to have a relationship. My half siblings loathed me as I was the reason their dad was gone. I'm 29 now. Bio mom is sad as I'm the most successful of her kids, but we have such a weak relationship. I see her once every 3 to 4 years, whereas I call my grandmother every week or so. Does she regret having me? Probably. Who knows how her life would be were I never born. I regret having my son sometimes. He struggles with anxiety and depression. They suck. He doesn't deserve them, and he didn't ask to be born. If I'd known of my predisposition toward anxiety and depression, I wouldn't have had a kid. On top of that, I have breast cancer. Poor kid is already struggling, and 12, and he didn't ask to be here, and now his mom has cancer. Fuck. But he's here. I feel bad, but I can't just undo having a kid. So I do my best. I listen, I take him seriously, I show him love, I take him to counseling, and I make sure he has plenty of adults in his life who care about him. It's a regret that comes from love. I don't want him to suffer, and yet, it's a part of life. He has more than his share of it, the poor guy. I love my kid more than anything. But even my love for my kid hasn't changed the fact that I'm a depressed, shitty person who really just wishes that I could die every single day. Obviously I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm never going to abandon her. I'm just so tired of being the person that I am. I never wanted kids. I'm a free spirit and I love spontaneous trips. My husband went and overdosed and killed himself. I'm allowed to be bitter 3 months ago, so now I'm very restricted and it was getting overwhelming. So I made arrangements with my Milan mom that they will watch the boys 1 4-day weekend a month so I can up and leave and decompress. The rest of the month I try to be the best mom I can, but if it weren't for my family understanding that the kids and parenting begin to suffocate me, I don't know that I could be a good mom. I love my kids. I wouldn't trade them for the world. But they were both oops babies. I regret the timing. I wish I had waited until I was more financially stable before having them. I'm now in a situation where I have to be a SAHM. Daycare is insanely expensive and it gets so lonely. Definitely wish I had waited a few years. I handle it the only way I can. I love them and consider myself lucky to have children at all. I didn't want kids, but I met someone who did, and it didn't seem that bad. Typical abuse story. Things went really downhill after I got pregnant and a couple of years later we split, and he was deported. Being a single parent is really hard. It would be hard even without the stigma against single parents. You still need to be a person, and not just a parent, but that's hard to do when you don't get any time to yourself, or time alone to do adult things. He's a really great kid, he just gets more alone time than some other kids might, because I need some time to decompress, and not have someone barraging me with questions and needing attention. But he's loved. We do a lot together. He has everything he needs. He has good relationships with all his family. I do what I can, but I wish I could do more. I wish I could date normally. I wish when I was seeing someone they could stay the night, or we could spend the weekend together. I wish I could stay late at work sometimes instead of rushing to daycare. I wish I didn't have to turn down opportunities that involved travel, because there wouldn't be anyone to care for him. I wish I could go camping for 2 weeks at New Year's with my friends. Hell, I wish I could chuck on some headphones and go for a walk in the dark. But I can't, for at least another decade. I'm not a parent, but my mother is. I'm an asshole, I hate myself, and I'm certain my mother regrets having me, because I'm an asshole. I don't handle it, nor does my mother edit. This wasn't meant to be deep or anything, I'm just joking around.